Welcome to
Hello.
another episode of Coffee in CHIKAHAN with the Entrepreneurs. I'm Fidesz and I'm joined by my fellow entrepreneur, Sandra, and we're your hosts for today. So just a bit of background, the Entrepreneurs is a female-led, female advocacy group, and we champion Filipino cuisine, culture and community. And our aim is to, build representation and celebrate our cuisine, culture and community in mainstream Australia. Coffee in CHIKAHAN was born out of our response to COVID. And it's our way of continuing to build community through conversation to connect, engage and uplift in this time of COVID, I guess, right? And right now in Victoria, lockdown 2.0. And so I guess the purpose of Coffee in CHIKAHAN is really to, generate conversation and speak to, it's real talk with real people in business and creation of food experiences, communities and storytelling. And this morning, or should I say this afternoon, we have two special guests with us today, two creative women, amazing women in their own right, Baylon and Yaz Gaté. Welcome.
Hi guys. Hi Sandra.
Thanks for having us.
Hello.
Yes, thank you.
All right, so maybe if you can probably just give us a little introduction of yourself, because we'll get into your origin story down the, throughout our conversation. But if you can just do a quick intro, and then we'll do
You go. Off you go, girl.
Go Jam, go Jam.
Yeah.
We're starting already. Okay. Go.
Okay. Cool. We're recording, right? Okay. So my name's Baylon. I'm a stylist art director in Profession Wise, and I'm also a mother of three beautiful, crazy, halfling Filipino Eurasians, whatever you want to call them. So I was born in Davao in the south in Philippines and came to Australia when I was about 8, turning 9. And been calling home, or calling Australia since home. Calling Australia home.
Home.
Oh my gosh. And how deep do you want me to get into my story?
No, that's good. That's good. All right, nice intro. Yaz, how about yourself?
Hi, I'm Yaz Gaté. I am a mama of 2. So Marley, who's 6, and Stevie Girl, who is 4. And they are firecrackers. I guess the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Legit. I named them after rock stars, and that's what I got.
Ooh,
yeah. I should have named them like Dale or something, and Teresa. I should have the energy their names bring.
Yeah,
and I am a teacher, and this year I started my own business, Tiny Cupboard Creatives.
Amazing.
Which is a studio in my home, and I teach bespoke art classes. Not the art classes that you think.
Right?
Okay? Yeah. So I'm in the
amazing
studio here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So is that good?
Yeah.
And my parents are from Cebu.
Oh,
that was a better intro than mine, Yaz.
No.
We're sold.
Sag, do you want to ask the break icebreaker?
yeah, sure. So I'm curious for the both of you, there's so much going on in your lives and also as mothers. How are the both of you staying positive during this time and taking care of your physical and mental well-being?
Okay.
Take it away.
So Fidesz and Sandra knows me through socials pretty well. So I'm very active, probably very optimistic and upbeat, which is also my downfall at times because I'm the most optimistic, positive person. And then my husband, who's like the bipolar opposite of me, is like a pessimist, skeptical, and everything will turn into shit. But I think because my mum raised me really well in terms of, she was very active and she was actually such a good role model, and she still is.
Yeah.
She runs longer than I can. I think the longest that I can run is 2.5 kilometers before my lungs come out. And mom's still running there,
That's amazing.
That's amazing.
And just ask Joel, my brother. He'll be we'll be walking and he's like, my heart. But I think it's such, since having kids too, it's so important for me to show discipline and lead by example.
Yeah.
And us growing up, I played a lot of sports as well, and always was a self-motivator. And I believe that if you start within yourself, then you can actually sort of help the people around you. And, you know, I think there's a saying where you say that you can't love other people unless you love yourself.
Yes.
And I'm not saying I love myself, because my goodness, I have moments where I'm like, I'm so emo. And, but it's just really being, I know that if I don't do something physically active, it really impacts on what happens for me mentally.
Yeah.
And I think people are the same too. So that's why I always make sure that I leave the house, go outside for a walk, whether it be even just like 10, 15 minutes. And
with your daughter, with your family, right? You do a family.
yeah, totally. I drag them along.
Yeah.
Marley's like, I'm good, thanks. She's 7. And she's like, it's okay. I don't want to exercise. It's like, I'm happy making my own playlist on Spotify. And I think she calls it God Love.
God Love, nice. Okay.
I was like, okay, that's like, it's, you know, not church songs, but
I must say though, Jen, like your posts and stuff on Instagram is really sort of, it's entertaining, and it just brings smiles to my face, as I'm sure many others as well. But it's
yeah, and I think it's so important too. Like you know, I don't take myself too seriously. That's pretty much the sort of foundation of me. I don't take myself too seriously. Even with the industry that I work in, fashion, everything's all about perfection, and which is a bit contradicting on, because my perspective in life is not that. But you know, picture perfect image and styling that and putting that together. But really, we need to ease off a bit on ourselves. We put too much pressure. That's it.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
you know, and I'm always teasing my kids. Maybe they might need therapy later on in life. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's I was like, you know, hard parenting and saying that be tough, and you know, the sarcasm is
yeah.
But that's pretty much how I've sort of been dealing with how we're going through, or what we're going through right now. Yeah. And memes. I love memes.
I know. You're pretty good at it too. You're a meme.
I'm gonna have to stalk you.
Yes,
maybe. Jump on board. Come to the dark side, Yaz.
I'm dark, man. I'm dark. Don't believe any of it.
Oh.
What about you, Yaz?
But yeah, it's funny. I was like, man, when I grow up, I want to be like Jum. I really, physical activity and we have a very volatile relationship. My physical self, but our house, we're a house of meditators. So about 11 or 12 years ago, my husband and I, we both have been trained in Vedic meditation. So we do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is going to rock your socks. And we're all up in self-development. So we went to Tony Robbins about 3 years ago. So every day I have a cold shower.
Oh yes,
wow.
Talking about this,
I have to tell you something funny, Yaz, once you finish your story about Anthony Robbins and my background.
Oh yeah, and I'm going to talk to you about you, because you're like, you know, your job's like all about perfection, whereas I feel like all my things are about imperfection and being okay with imperfection, like everything. So the perfection in imperfection.
Yeah.
I feel like
Wabi Sabi.
Hey?
Wabi Sabi, you know, the Japanese term.
Yeah. So positive. I've been told a few times that I'm actually quite good at hustling in the dark, finding light in the dark.
I love
Oh, that's beautiful.
So with the first wave, I was too hard on myself because I was trying to hustle too much, and I compromised my mental health. I'm all up in the mental health. I've had a few snippets in my time, so I've learned to identify my patterns. So I'm not afraid of mentioning, you know, I see a therapist when I need to. We have a really strong relationship. I used to see her all the time. Yeah. But I always tell my whole family, because I know it's quite a taboo in my family, the whole mental health stigma. Yeah. So I, with my experience last year that I'll go into later, I always tell my family mental health first, always. Yeah. So for me, it's meditation, it's making time to art, have cups of tea.
Art is meditation, right? Like it's a way of,
just you know, and going to, well, we're not allowed to now, but like I used to just go to the beach and just inhale the air and meditate there and dig my feet into the ground for some grounding. That's what I like to do. Yeah. To keep 2.0, more of that, you know?
2.0. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay. Tell us, well, let's talk about your origin story. How did you guys start? How did your careers begin? And how did you get your start in there? And I guess yeah, just share your journey so far, because you know, we know some background from both of you, and I think it's worthwhile obviously exploring that and sharing your experience with everyone else. So
sorry, I'm
maybe
the sip.
Jam, after a sip. Jam, how about you?
I was like we're gonna go deep into my story now. I'm just
Tell us everything.
Oh, let's go.
I think yeah, you guys sort of heard a little bit about my background in terms of how I got into my career. I've always been interested in fashion since I was young. Fashion and food, really. I love eating, but like I didn't get to be the chef that my brother has become, but I get to eat it, which is amazing.
Hey, Joel.
Hey, Joel. Hey, Joel.
You get the better end of the deal, I think. The best of both worlds.
I love scabbing food. So growing up, I was always making clothes. If I wasn't going out in the field and just getting dark, because you know you're not allowed to get dark when you're a girl. It's another
that story.
We'll get to that story too.
Yeah, we know that story.
But I've always been creative. And Mum always sort of supported me in that. And always making. And I did textiles, and I completely suck at making stuff. Like I suck at making clothes, and I'm like, well, that's not going to happen, because I thought I was going to be a designer. And I probably unpicked thread than I actually sewed. So that's it. I barely scraped it. But anyway, so moving forward, I was working in fashion, but more on the business side of things, and I got really disgruntled about the two-faced scenarios in the industry, and that's just like in anything really, but specifically in the creative sector. And everyone was very fake and superficial, and I was really sick of it, even though I was only in the business side in operations. So I got out of that, and it was actually Nigel, my husband, who and we just had Malaya, my eldest, who's 15 now, and she wasn't planned, but she knows this, but we love you too. We still love you.
Oh my God.
Too much pride.
Yeah.
Hey, girls, you have to get married first. But anyway, being the worst Catholic there is, but whatever. So he was actually the one. There was no stylist back then. That was, when I say back then, it was like almost a decade ago. And I was like, he said that maybe you should get into styling. And I'm like, what styling? And I did some research, and I started interning, assisting magazines. And then while I was doing that, we had a second child. I was working part-time. And this is what I was telling you about Anthony Robbins. I used to work in a coaching school, life coaching school, yes.
You know what's hilarious? I got coached for a year. You know what though? It was game changer. Like I got sucked in at the 50-hour mark. Do you want to coach? I'm like, sure do.
Yeah, so I was enrolling, you know, like all the life coaches and all that, and NLP, neuro-linguistic practice. I'm like,
my Lord. Yeah. Okay.
So that's another side of my.
Wow.
Anyway, so I was being a mother to 2 young kids and working part-time, building my portfolio, networking, all under the age of 20, whatever it was at the time.
Amazing. Yeah,
amazing. And then, and eventually my career started to sort of pick up and work with some amazing people, great clients, beautiful campaigns and editorials, and it's sort of like grew from there. So, but honestly, it's you know, it's not as easy as people say. It's not as amazing as people say.
Hard work, right? I see all your you know, when you're sourcing for your stuff like that.
That's like to be a stylist, an art director, you're constantly and then I'm always on my feet, and you know, I'll be scouting locations and producing and concept development. So it's not just putting looks together for me. My job is a little bit more sort of expanded that way in terms of I'm more hands-on. Not in the models, but you know, figuratively speaking, right?
Yeah.
I was like, oh God, that took a spin.
But you also have an agency, right? You have an agency as well.
So we have Partisan is a design agency which I operate with Nigel. So technically he's my boss, but we sit across each other and send emails and cap locks and exclamation marks, and I'm just like, meeting room now. I'm like, and he was can't go on lunches for 2 hours. So that's pretty much like the step that I started in terms of always had a idea of working in fashion, but really it also coincided wanting to be an architect, but my math is pretty average, so I couldn't.
So you delved in different elements of creativity. So now
so a lot of graphic designers and architects also jumped on to become designers, so they coincide. But that's pretty much like a summary in terms of how I came about as a stylist. But I owe it a lot to Nigel, because he's the one that's always pushed me, and even, you know, trying to build a career and then have multiple kids in between. Crazy, but it's, you know, you can do it, and you just have to have the mentality and the support. And
the self-belief, the self-love that you can, right?
Oh yeah, but that itself, though, it was a bit of a roller coaster. So you know, you start to doubt yourself, you compare, and that's the problem. Sometimes a lot of, like, especially women, we're so harsh on one another, we're so judgy, and I'm like, you know, there's like, you don't need that. It's just the moment that someone's becoming successful or do something amazing, they're quick to jump and go, oh, well, what have they done? And just like, be thankful, just be happy, because like the energy that you give out is actually what you take as well. So, and that's actually a fact. I don't know how that works, or like, is it a conspiracy theory with all the
you get what you give.
You
get more what you got it. You spot it, you got it.
Exactly. So and then here I am now talking to you ladies.
Yay!
That's a nice actually. But our lives are so different. I'm like,
So maybe, Yaz, you could go into your story a little bit for us.
So I've taught for 17 years. And unlike, I think in hindsight, I was always a creative, but it wasn't really nurtured as something that you should do as a job. So I used to tell my mom in the last few years, like, man, I should have done TAFE. Like, I'm not an academic. I push myself because, you know, I'm very mindful with my own kids to just allow them to be. You know, let's not go on a current affair now. You know. If you're not on a current affair and you're safe and you're kind, winning.
That's all there is, right?
And I told my husband, if they can take care of themselves and they're kind and they're resilient, I feel like I've done my job. And just do you. You know, that's what I've tried to tell them, and I'll tell you a bit later about how that came to be, those ideas. But so anyway, I taught for 17 years. I taught in high school. I taught Bahasa in a high school setting, and I've always worked in low socioeconomic, highly traumatized organizations or schools. So I went to London. I taught for 6 years in a mainstream inner city London school, top 10 worst school in England.
Wow.
Or even the UK, actually. It was like really rough. The first day would be self-defense. The second day would be first aid, then curriculum. That was the order of events every year for 7 years. And then I was convinced in 2008 that I was leaving teaching. It wasn't for me anymore. And I came home and I decided to trial it for a year. And I found the school that I work at now, which, I was working at for about 10 years. And it was a new arrival setting, teaching mostly refugee kids, and that's where I met my husband. And I had probably three nervous breakdowns in that time frame. The support's not there for teachers, and the amount of stuff that you've got to do without that support. And when you're an empath like me and you carry those stories home with you, so the kids at that setting could come anytime, whenever they arrived. Sometimes they'd be 2 days off the boat, literally
Wow.
off. A lot of the kids were born in refugee camps, emaciated. So, you know, parents with PTSD, like it was pretty epic. I'd cry every 3 months at the end of term. I'd say goodbye and pray that the system didn't ignore them or inhale them and spit them out. And they'd come back with really Western names and it would really break me, you know. So then last year, I did all the coaching, you know, did all that kind of crazy stuff and decided I'd start an ABN, and I felt compelled to set up an Instagram account, and I had to jump through lots of hoops to let that be okay with the department.
Okay. Yeah.
To make sure that I wasn't breaching anything for privacy, and especially because of our kids and their visas, and that was fine. And then I got breast cancer, and that was a game changer. You know, we'd poured a lot of our money into therapy and self-development and all that stuff. And I said to my husband, let's see if we've rolled the dice on the wrong thing and put our money where we shouldn't have. Turns out all that money we spent over 3 years on all of that stuff paid off, because cancer was a gift in the end. It didn't kill me, so that's sick. Well done. So I had, it went from 0 to 100 in about 2 weeks. So my anniversary is next month, August 15th.
Wow.
Congratulations.
Yeah, well, that's when I found out, and October 31 was when I had a double mastectomy, and I had 2 months of immobility. And I realized, kind of like Mandela, like I was having all these weird downloads, epiphanies, like, oh my God, you need to be able to self-ignite even when you're incapacitated and immobile. Your mind needs to be there even when your body isn't.
Almost like mind over matter, right? Yes.
Mind over matter.
Like,
and I've heard it before,
power
but I
of
didn't
mind.
understand it until I literally couldn't move.
We're in it. Yeah, right.
Yeah, for like 2 months, and I couldn't walk, and my scars, like, you know, 55 centimeters across my body, and I can't feel my torso. And I spent so many years hating on myself, you know, that I realized, you know what, I'm just going to action this and jump. And I'm going to, as soon as I'm vertical, I'm going to ask for a year off and start my own business and teach from home.
Yeah.
And by the gift of Instagram, I had students ready to go from the get-go, because I built this Instagram base. And then lockdown 1 happened and I was paralyzed. And then I was leaning into that discomfort of, well, what do I do now? And you got to hustle. You got to find the light where you can find it. So then I went to YouTube, which I thought I'd never do, because I'm like, oh my God, like that's so bad. And like the first one, like I was so constipated. I was like, I'm going to die. I'm like, oh, it's fine. But, and because of that, I now have adult students and all these new classes from the mums that were watching me on YouTube the first round.
Yeah.
So it's been great. And, you know, at the end of the day, you think about my kids, like when the day of my 9-hour surgery, I fully thought that was it for me. And I had 15 minutes. I think they give you 45 minutes of all the things that could go wrong. And then you sign the paper. And then you've got 15 minutes waiting in the bed before you go under. And I was just like, and I realized, I told Seb, like, I didn't see my kids fall in love. We didn't live our lives, and I need to try something new.
It's like your whole world or your whole life passes before you.
Correct. Right? And this painting here, I was only just starting to tamper with that before I got sick, about, holy crap, I don't know anything about my culture, like nothing. I thought I was Western my whole life. Turns out we had kids, and I was like, maybe I'm not as white as I thought I was. And then I actually printed it out, so I wanted to show you. I found this picture.
Oh, amazing.
Oh, beautiful.
That's me. That's my lolo, from my dad, my grandma, so my lola from my dad's side, and my cousin in the Philippines. And I know nothing about any of this.
Can you remember that?
Right. Yeah, and I was like, isn't that weird that I know nothing about this and I'm related to them by blood?
Wow.
Because I just didn't, I think growing up, I was kind of conditioned to think that Western was better.
Yeah, we were all.
And
yes,
we can all. So that's my story. Like, I was really nervous to come on here because I said to Ate Jean, like, I'm still learning about myself, and I'm 40, man. Like, you know, I feel
we're all a work in progress, Yaz, though.
yeah. So anyway,
You
that's
know,
my
but-
story.
Yeah, amazing story, and
Love that.
it's an example of strength, and yeah.
What was that, Jam?
I'm just like going, I'm in awe. I'm like, my goodness, I don't want to work in the industry that I want to. I was like, I just like, but that's the thing. I have friends who have similar backgrounds and similar experience, and work with people who are disadvantaged, and it's so damn inspiring. It's so.
It is.
But it does take a toll, hey?
It does, and that's what I was gonna say. Like, one of my friends would actually come back, and she's worked in Alice Springs and all regional areas, and she's broken. You know, it'll take months for it to recover from it, and then go back. And
I mean, there's a book called Teacher by Gabby Straude, and she talks about this beautiful teacher who's amazing, but she just burns out, and she's now an author. And I said to Seb, you know what's scary, Seb? The one thing I know I'm good at, which is teaching, is something that it's not worth it. Because my biological children don't have a functional mum. Because my heart is so big, and I feel so much, I carry it home. And I used to have hives all over my body. My eczema was really bad. I'd be sick all the time. And, you know, when I got sick, and I promised the universe that I would step into my purpose if it gave me a surgery date. And the day I took a nap and promised the universe that, 6 minutes into that, I got the date. I missed the phone call and I got the date.
Yeah.
So, you don't make me cry, Yaz. I'm like,
no, don't cry. My story is that, you know, I knew I had a calling other than my teaching, because it was really destroying me. Like three nervous breakdowns in 10 years. It's outrageous, you know. So the idea is, even if you don't know what your calling is, just step towards it, whatever that is, and reassess.
Even if it's uncomfortable, right?
It's so uncomfortable, man. And then you get a lot of judgment, like how you said, Jum, about how women don't raise each other up. And so when I discovered the entrepreneurs, I was excited, because like, bloody hell, about time. Like, because you know, there's this kind of theory that Filipino women don't raise each other up. Like, you know, like we're quick to tear each other down. So when I saw the Sari Sisterhood, the entrepreneurs, I felt like, yes. It's so good that celebrated in different.
It's actually interesting. The Sari Sisterhood, you know, that event we had at 8 Apparel with Active back in February, pre-COVID, of course. It was probably the catalyst for all of us to connect and meet each other. So Yaz, you weren't there, but Jean was there, and she said you have to meet Yaz. So she showed me your Instagram account, and I saw that painting. I'm like, yes, I want to meet her. And then so we just connected on Instagram. It's sort of like our origin story.
That is we met on Instagram, and it's cute that different people asked me to meet Fidesz. People are like, have you met Fidesz? I'm like, oh, so funny. Someone's already introduced us.
Well, now you know, you're in the same circle as my sister-in-law as well, like, you know, back in the day, which is really interesting.
It's so weird. Such a small world.
I think just on that point of like raising each other up, I think it's, I wanted to mention that that's been something for me being a part of the entrepreneurs. Like, we talk about this a lot internally, this idea of crab mentality, and we've kind of touched on that before in previous like other discussions we've had online. But that whole idea of crab mentality, which often comes along with, for whatever reason, you know, migrant communities, and, you know, we do see it in the Filipino community. I think that that's something that collectively we have to address, and like, it's really only through, you know, chats like this and through, you know, publicly being intentional about supporting each other, that we're going to be able to turn that on its head. And I think we are getting there. I think there's something, you know, about maybe that first generation of migrants coming over and having to survive and feeling like there's only so much success that can go around, so you have to protect it. And you know, and it doesn't allow you to then be happy and supportive about other people doing really well. Whereas now I think we're more coming from an abundance mentality.
Yes, I was just going to say that. I love that mentality.
You know, so I think we're recognizing the privileges that we do have growing up here and living this life. And I think we're able to kind of spread out and like, just a little bit of a breather and kind of say, oh, that's awesome that they're doing that over there. I love that they're doing that over there, you know. And as well, you know, that's something that I do pick up on Jum's Instagram as well. Like, you know, I asked her the other day, she shared this like gorgeous model, and I was like, oh my God, that woman, this beautiful like woman of color. And I was like, oh my God, I just have to know who that is, because her look was just so different compared to what we're used to in the Aussie mainstream. You know, and so Jum's great for that. You know, Fidesz is great for that. I don't follow you on Instagram yet, yes, but I don't
follow you and Jum. I'm on.
Yeah, you know, like I think we're seeing it, and you know, it's easy to kind of be disparaging of social media sometimes, and you know, obviously it is sometimes a bit of an overwhelming place to be, but I think that is the one huge benefit that we've seen, is that we are able to connect and we're able to elevate other people on our own platforms.
Yes.
So that's all I wanted to say on that point.
No, that's really good, Sandra. And in terms of like the new generation, the next generation, and I think for me, I saw so much of the bitchiness growing up. I never understood that. And as a child, can you imagine being a child and you hear adults talk like nasty things about one another behind our backs and to be friends in front of them? That always stuck by me. And
I was probably the one that was being spoken about.
Oh.
You know what it was like? I told my mum this just like last week, and I said to her, I'm so sure I was put here on this world to rep people that didn't fit in.
Oh, I love that, Jan. I love that, Yaz. I love it.
Like, I just think my energy is strong. My colors are bright. I'm very articulate. I'm a storyteller.
Yep.
That it can't just be to talk to 5 kids at a time. I said to my mum, like, you know, people always spoke about how I wasn't the type of Filipino girl that I should be. The only thing that I had going for me was that my skin was white. That's what I remember. But my voice was deep. I was very voluptuous. I never did all the things that I was supposed to do.
Yeah.
Turns out it's a strength.
Yeah.
It's 40. And I said to my mum, I'm not going to apologize anymore for who I am. Because, you know, I did the degrees and that, and then I've gone back to where I should have been, which is here, exploring, you know, repping. And I said this to Arjun, like, I've always worked with kids who are in the minority groups, always. But it's interesting now that I'm running my own studio, because they're not minority groups now. They're like middle class, English speaking, kids that go to private schools. But the thread is the same. The thread is to challenge their perception of what they think is happening in their worlds, and doing that through storytelling and books and art, and repping artists who are different colors or different abilities, and really challenging them to see that there's actually just more than one angle on this, guys. And we don't have to be afraid, like that deficit model of thinking, that there's enough for everybody. I love that abundance mentality. There's always more. So if you screw it up, kids, don't worry, try again, because it's actually infinite.
But not just that, but like there's always more, but we also make more. Like we generate more and more opportunities for ourselves with the platforms that we create and the community that we've created. You know, like I there's things that I have done in my time with the entrepreneurs that I would not have reached out for those opportunities on my own. You know, like it's the fact that there's these women around me saying, do that, or like looking out for, so-and-so needs a copywriter, go do this, you know, like speak to that person. Like we make those opportunities by strengthening our ties and our communities. So,
the connection.
You know, looking out for each other, you know? Yeah, absolutely.
Empowered women empower women, right? That's
for sure.
So as a mother, sorry.
No, you guys. I think we both had the same.
So kind of like a nice segue towards conversation around representation, especially with children, right? So we're all mothers, Jam, Yaz.
Not me.
Sorry,
that's all right. You enjoy that, girl. You enjoy that.
As
Oh,
mum of,
do you know something that I don't know?
Oh my God.
so Jam and Yaz as mothers of biracial children,
Mm.
how do you navigate conversations around identity with your kids?
Pretty straightforward, really. I've always been very vocal about talking about where we're from, where Nigel's from. So,
Where is Nigel from? Sorry, Jam, I still have to stalk you.
okay, it's a long one. So Nigel is he's actually West Indian. He was born in Trinidad.
Oh,
Wow.
wow, so
So he's not,
cool.
he's not like, he's so not exotic looking. He's
Oh. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Sorry, Nigel. Sorry, Nigel.
no, he's like, he can't get a tan. So that's how.
Oh, really?
So he was born in Trinidad, but his mum is Portuguese. His dad is Scottish.
Wow.
So,
Wow, what a mix.
he's blonde hair, blue eyes, and so he grew up in Trinidad, came over to England, and then and came over to Australia. So when his dad passed away, his mum remarried a Singaporean Dutch. So just to throw additional,
My Lord,
Yeah.
okay.
they're probably the most interracial couple.
Wow, yes.
And so history to us is always important. We're always sharing. And Nigel's he's such a better cook than I am. Like he actually, he learned Filipino dishes and cooked it way better than I have.
Wow, amazing.
Ooh,
Well done, Nigel.
that's a
What was the
keeper.
last she cooked, Jam?
He'll do curries and he'll do dinners from scratch or just whatever's in the fridge. He's he's the Martha Stewart of I think she's probably not the best example because she stole money from the tax, but whatever. But yeah, so we're always talking, and the girls are always talking about where we're from or how we met, and I'm like, well, how we met's not the most romantic scenario. It was in a pub in Kensington, but they knew that too.
Yeah, right.
But I think because we're so vocal, or I'm so vocal about it, I'm always saying be proud of who you are and where you're from. I never had that. Like for a long time, I didn't like having the name Jam or Jam or strawberry jam or veg
Jam.
peanut butter. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I've never heard of it before.
yeah. And I guess that's why, because they say a lot of people who are very sarcastic and constantly joke around are pretty much people who are suffering from trauma in their childhood. And to a degree, I think that's right. But
I'm such a smart ass. Yeah.
I'm so gonna take that on board and turn around and make it. So, and the girls will question, especially all the girls look different, especially Mishka. And I think Sandra and Fidesz have seen my kids, and Mishka is the lightest looking, and she's got hazel green eyes and light complexion, and a little bit different to Mali and Malaya. So they kind of look the same. There's times where I get asked whether, I'm babysitting. And I'm like, yeah, I don't get paid.
That's wild.
So,
Sorry, it's 24/7.
Yeah. I was just like, but
That's outrageous. Anyway.
It's outrageous, but it's also the area that I'm in, so they kind of,
What area are you in, Jam?
I'm in Saturn Yarraville, so there's a lot of brews in the area. They're probably, I don't know if they're watching this. I'm gonna make more friends.
Yeah. They have a strong sense at this young age. They have a strong sense of identity, and they're open to learning more about their background, which is great.
With Malaya, my eldest, she's so strong. She's very street savvy, and she's so educated, and she knows all about backgrounds, and she knows the history more than I have.
That's amazing.
Known at her age, right?
Wow. Yeah.
She knows there's different dialects, and she knows the food and it's just, she's so absorbed by it, and she doesn't see any indifference of her amongst her friends. Like they're all the same. They're all from different backgrounds as well too.
Yeah.
So I'm just so thankful that they didn't experience the racism that I received as a younger person growing up. But mind you though, I don't have any grudge having the racism brought towards me, because some of that happened. The people the other kids have now found me on Facebook, and some of them have apologized.
Wow.
And some of them, you know, even the boys that I like have come back and sort of said something in terms of, you know, treated you very unfairly because you.
Is this recently, Jem?
I think like sort of ongoingly the last.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So
Fascinating.
yeah. So and then there's times where I go to Joel and I'm like, do I really accept their friend request? And it's like,
Yeah,
no, you're actually a genuine psycho, so don't.
Yeah. Okay. Nice.
And yeah, but I think going back to educating girls, I think we talk all the
Yeah.
time. We talk about racism, and some of the girls unfortunately sees that when we're together.
Mm.
And the entitlements of some people out there, where walking on a footpath, where some of them would expect you to move
aside, yeah.
move aside, even though you're walking. Yeah, it's happening. It's so.
Yeah, I get it.
Malaya
Oh my God.
woman yelled at Malaya and told her she was about 6 meters away from us, walking opposite direction.
Yeah.
We're already on the nature strip, and she was like, "Move, like just
moly.
move." And then I'm just like, Malaya, you just stay where you're going. And so, but I said, don't. I always remind them, don't get angry. You know, because at the end of the day, that anger is not always going to help you, because it's when you get angry, sometimes you go into a dark place. Yeah. But all you can do is, yes, all right, it's not me, it's them.
Yeah.
Prepare yourself and how you can actually respond to it.
Really how you respond, exactly. What I was going to say.
But mind you, I don't always follow my
advice.
So
I love this conversation, because I'm just thinking, like, I'm all about jumping on the anger train, but you just can't stay on it.
Yeah,
like,
I know, but it's,
you know,
feisty. Yes.
Yeah, I'm so feisty. I reckon this is funny that Fidesz put us together, because we're so different, but actually our energies are quite similar.
Sure.
Oh, Fidesz, you're a little clever clog.
You should take my job. You can cast the models.
About models, but you know. Yes, how about you? You're
Do you know this question, Fidesz? I'm gonna say something. It really threw me.
Why?
Yeah, I said to the Jean, okay, like legit, like this is the question that's thrown me. She's like, what are you talking about? And she goes, and she was right. She's like, it is so inherent in you. You don't even realize you're doing it. That's why you can't see how you're doing it. Because she said to me, as an observer, she's known me since I was 15. We lived in London together.
Oh, okay.
You know, she's really witnessed me do this. And she goes, I think you don't realize that your choices that you make are not even choices for you, that you just do that. She's like, whereas for me, I have to actively choose to do those things, like intentionally choose that to be part of my children's life. Mm-hmm. So what's interesting about this is, like, we spoke about it in two, she's like, it could be like, for example, she's like, call it lazy parenting. So I basically chose a school for my children that had lots of different colored children, kids in hijabs, kids in wheelchairs, kids on the spectrum. And I said to Auntie Jean, I always just saw that as like it's a no-brainer for me. I'm just going to send them to a school where there's like a whole little world happening in there, and they just don't see it as anything different.
Yeah.
You know, and Marley chose a boy to go to his party last year, and I was so proud. He was a special needs.
Marley as well.
Yeah, a Marley, M-A-R-L-E-Y.
Yeah, my Marley's Marley. Oh! Sorry, I shouldn't interrupt, but I was so pissed off it.
Yeah, so Marley's 6. He's my little boy. He invited a special needs boy. I don't know his background. You know, he might be mixed race. Like, I don't know. I don't think it's African. He must be West Indian. He doesn't look, you know. But he invited him to his party, and I said to Seb, I'm so proud of this kid. I'm so proud of him, because he just doesn't, you know, he's just another kid. And I'm like, that's right, he's just another kid. So for me, representation means exposure. I want to expose my kids, and we always talk about how, you know, they're like 1/4 Australian, 1/4 French, 1/8 Chinese. And my maths isn't good, guys. So I'm like, are they 3/8 Filipino? Is that what it is? I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, we speak about it a lot, and we always speak about it, because when I grew up, we never spoke about it, and I only encountered racism at 18. So when I encountered it for the first time, I was really shocked. I wish someone had packed it out for me. So basically, I know I had this really big moment before my surgery last year where I wrote them letters. And my therapist is like, you write them letters because you might get hit by a bus. You don't write them letters because you might die in surgery. You just have to write them letters just because. And what manifested in those letters was something that I didn't expect. Because, you have these theories like, what would I write? And it was really simple. And I told my kids to know yourself, because the world's going to tell you that you're something that you're not. And part of knowing yourself is knowing your background and not being ashamed of it, and knowing how it feels to know yourself. So that when people tell you you're something that you're not, you can go, that's not true.
Yeah.
And so for a long time, I think my bitchiness growing up was to just, I don't know, deflect people from knowing that I didn't know who I was. It was, I'm not proud of the way I behaved growing up, because I honestly think I was in survival mode. Like, I didn't fit in anywhere. I didn't know who my people were. And I realized I am actually part of a people that don't know. It's a byproduct of people that come from another country, and they didn't know how to unpack it for me. And imagine, like, you come to a new country, you've got all these things, and you have a child that is not who you think is going to be that child that you want, your typical, whatever typical means, but I just wasn't the things that my parents expected.
Yeah.
So with my kids, I start very young now. It's like, well, what do you like? What do you know? And really just allowing them the space to tell me what they actually feel about that.
Yeah.
So that's what representation means to me. Just exposure, conversation, and just,
giving them a voice. Giving them a voice to speak. Because, growing up with me, if you had an opinion, often it's deemed as, being disrespectful because you're answering back. But really, it's about you trying to just voice your thoughts and feelings and so forth. So, and that was kind of suppressed, I feel, maybe as a cultural thing or whatnot.
Yes.
But I'm quite intentional when, with my two kids, that I give them a voice.
Yes.
At specific times. No, but I give them a voice and give them that opportunity to express themselves. So, yeah.
I'm constantly getting schooled by my own kids. I like, as much, as an adult, I want to sort of like, don't you dare talk to me like that. And then, I'm like, we need to chat. You were actually right.
Yeah.
And then, and I was just like, he's always going, well, let them talk, like, they're correcting you.
And they call you out. I mean, my kids call me out all the time. Like, if I tell them something and I'm not, I guess following my own advice, they'll call me out. I'm like,
and sometimes I get really defensive, but it's like, it's sort of, I appreciate it. Like, but sometimes I just get, she's such a smart ass. Like, she's very smart, but she's a smart ass as well. So I'm like, get off that.
Yeah.
Apple doesn't fall far, man.
It's a tree, right? Yeah, exactly.
That's a really powerful thing, though, I think, when you have parents growing up that can actually have a conversation with you and that are open and willing to listen to your point of view, and willing to recognize and let you know when they've been wrong. Like, I think that's so huge. I think that not every immigrant kid gets that, so...
say sorry when you're wrong, like...
Yeah, revolutionary. Revolutionary.
Sorry, I'm wrong. It is.
Yeah, I said it last night, man. I tiger mummed my Marley last night. Like, I fully went Filipino mama on him, like, Filipino mama of the 80s, like, like, dude, And then I said to him, Mal, that was really wrong. Sorry. And I was like, I'm okay with the rupture, because growing up there was a lot of rupture, but there was no follow through of, I said, I need to be a better version. So I'm okay to rupture. I tell my husband this because he's French. He's really introvert. It's very gentle. So when he sees me just...
a musician, right, Yaz?
He's a musician. Yeah. So when he sees me rupture, he's even scared. He's like, oh, shit, get out of the way. But I said to him, I'm okay with them seeing that every now and then. As long as I follow it through with, I still love you. Like, I'm sorry I was wrong. That's fresh, man. I never got that. Like, never.
I actually turn around and because my mom, even though she was wrong, and we knew, Joel and I were like, yeah, dude, she was wrong. I know she was wrong, but there was no, and she knew she was wrong. There was no apology. So we grew up, Mom, I love you. You know this scenario, but and she's never apologized. Like, she does apologize now. But
I love yous are hilarious. Yeah.
But then I always go back and make sure that, look, I'm so sorry I lost my shit.
Yeah.
Either because you had a really long day or something else that wasn't addressed or something.
It's a really great way of setting an example, right? So if you can recognize that you're wrong, as you know, as a parent, as a person, and apologize even to your children. I say even to your children because you know there's that mentality that you're always right when you're not really. You know, it's okay to make mistakes, and acknowledging that, especially even with your children, so that they in turn can also, I guess, practice that
as well. And I never understood that, especially in the Asian culture. They're like, parents are never wrong. Parents are so emotional. Like, you know,
we're so wrong, man. I'm wrong all the time.
Hey,
and I always tell Seb, if anything ever happens to me, dude, tell them I spent all my money on therapy, and if they're a little bit effed up, they just have to keep going. Just work on it. Work on a little bit.
All right. So, hey, I wish we can just keep talking, but we've got about 10 minutes.
Okay.
And so maybe we just run through a couple of last questions. And Sanj, let's try and incorporate the fun lightning round. I think that'll be fun.
Yeah, sure. Do you want me to?
Oh, sorry. I was just going to ask, what are you most looking forward to post this lockdown and pandemic? But I feel like, you know, this pandemic's going to be a new normal. But, you know, what are you most looking for?
I'm not accepting the new norm. I'm taking that out. I think that's a conspiracy. I've been watching a lot of conspiracy theory.
Have you?
I'm enforcing the words new norm. No, not by
the new normal. What is normal anyway? You know what I mean? Yeah.
I think I'm just looking forward to not being stuck in the house with Nigel all the time, but
you could hook up together and maybe, you know, do your own
so good
segments, hey?
This much time with my husband. It's really weird. But no, all jokes aside, I think I've already said this. I'm never going to take anything for granted ever again in terms of very spontaneous. So I love the spontaneity of me just going, I'm going to go to my friend's house, I'm going to go to the backyard and hang out. I'm going to go to Yuyangs and go hiking, or just really be able to just do something spontaneously is probably the most difficult part and what I miss the most. Now it's quite regimented. We're all sort of having to only just go out for a walk, come back, and and I think it's also, I miss how people were treating people beforehand, because if anything, I did find the racism escalate to zero, like, well, not zero, but it's just through the roof right now. And I've experienced it myself numerous times. And I don't know why some friends haven't. Maybe I just have a really bad resting bitch face and that think. But it's
so sorry.
I never really had the issue as an adult, but I think it's just people are scared. So and that's what it is. I think people are scared, and once again, I'm just going to go back to, we're all in it freaking together. So
literally, right? One person's action affects the whole community.
Whether one culture or another, or just like if you see something happening, you can talk to them nicely, man. You don't you go ape shit and call people names. It's like, you don't even know that person. Why are you actually, I'm not saying that, even though I know someone else swear at them badly, but it's just the and the gatherings too. I love my gatherings with my friends and family and mom cooking for me.
Yeah. How about you, Yaz?
I need contact. I'm an extrovert. I recharge with in real life interactions. So I reckon that's what I really felt the first wave. I just miss hanging out with people in the flesh, the energy that brings. And I'm a group person as well. I love having people here.
And you were just starting your adult classes as well. And
oh my God, Fides, they were so good. Yeah. I was like, maybe I want to teach adults. This is amazing. So mums would just come, and what I almost shat myself because they're all creatives. They're amazing.
Mm,
They're
mm,
all creative.
Mm.
So when I saw them, I was like,
You've done this before. Yes, that
are
hours.
you here with me, man? And then I realized they're just adults who want to tap out
Yeah,
with other creative people
yeah,
who want a cup of tea on their own, maybe a biscuit, and they just want to be somewhere where someone's not going to tell them that's crap. So I
Yeah.
don't judge them for it. It's like,
yeah.
and I seriously feel like I said I feel a bit like Oprah Winfrey on these adult sessions. So I'm like, dudes, stop saying sorry. Women say sorry all the
All the
time.
time. I do as well.
I go, dude,
God,
I
know.
put a plate on your hand so you can't see what you're drawing. It's gonna look crap. And you're telling me you're sorry, even though I made you not look at the paper to begin with.
Right.
Stop
right.
saying sorry. Sorry is not in our landscape today.
Yeah.
And I said, and the other thing that we need to stop doing, guys, is stop being so hard on ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And the only time, I said, maybe this is the time in the week where you have time to play so that you know what you vibe with. Because I think, especially the mums, like, they're so busy being mums, they've forgotten what it feels to go, oh, that's good.
Yeah.
I'm good
Yeah.
at that.
Yeah.
I'm a bit different. Like, I made sure I told my husband, our kids are going to leave us, so I'm going to remember what I like now and nurture it.
Mm-hmm.
I want my kids to know that growing old is really cool and you can still
Yeah.
be you know? But, you know, in my art lessons, mum's like, I don't know what I vibe with. I'm like, well, the only way you're going to know is if you give yourself time to explore. So
Yeah.
let's just use this as an exploration.
Let go. Sometimes you're so, like, when I tried to do that free drawing, like,
Oh, yeah.
I was trying to make it perfect. I just could not let go because I want to. So that's the
Like,
process.
and
for me.
Ava's one is just
Yeah.
kids on tap, man.
I know, right? Give me some of that.
Her
Yeah.
continuous line drawings were just smooth.
Yeah.
They were amazing, like really amazing.
Awesome. Awesome, guys. Okay, let's get into the thing. You want to start it? Oh, you do it actually. The fun
Yeah,
one.
so just to, as a way to transition out of our amazing chat today, something a little lighter, a little quicker. So we have a fun lightning round of rapid fire questions, and you can't think about it. You just have to say one or the other. All right, so we're going into Filipino food.
Oh, God. Okay.
We have first up is adobo or sinigang?
Adobo.
Oh,
Oh, sorry.
adobo, good. Jam.
I went into game show.
I thought it was
One or the other. You
What?
both have to answer.
we both have to answer.
Yeah.
Okay. Lechon or crispy pata?
I'll let John.
Lechon.
Nice.
Ooh. Champorado or taho?
The hot.
Champorado.
Ooh. Kamayan or fork and spoon?
Oh, fork and spoon. I'm really weird with my fingers.
Yeah, spoon.
Ooh, 2 fork and spoon.
Yeah,
All right. Now, okay, not Filipino now. Kind of more generalist questions. Vintage or modern?
Vintage.
oh my gosh, that's hard. I'm both. Can I
You're
do
both?
both? I'll do
No.
both. I'll have to do
No.
You're more of one or the other.
I'll do modern. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Library or ebooks?
Library. I
Oh,
like
God. I like, library. Real hard
Yeah.
copies.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh.
All right. MoMA or the Louvre?
MoMA.
Oh, yeah.
Jam?
Beach or mountains?
Or beach.
Beach.
Definitely.
Filipino girls, always on the beach. And last one, I think I know the answer to Jam. What Jam's gonna say? TikTok or karaoke?
I can't sing for shit. I'm like the only Filipino on this planet that can't sing.
I only sing Motown, Jam.
Yeah?
And I'm always the man. Always the man. I'm Luther Vandross. That's it. That's all I can
love
be.
it. Love it. I'll throw one extra
Karaoke.
one. 90s R&B or the 80s?
Oh, 90s. 100%.
R&B. Oh my god.
R&B, 90s. All
90s
right.
all the way.
90s all the way. Oh my gosh. 80s.
All right, ladies. Thank you, Yaz. Thank you, Jam, for being with us today, for your generosity of time, sharing your creative spirit, and your journey so far. So appreciate your time, and I hope that with your stories that we also inspire other women and other people within our community as well. You're both amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you. So just for everyone else, please stay connected with us on Instagram and Facebook for news and updates. We will have shortly be announcing a special fundraiser, especially to support our vulnerable Filipino students who are doing it tough right now, particularly now in this second lockdown. So we're putting out the details, just working out details now, but we'll be sharing those shortly in the coming weeks. So please stay connected on Instagram and Facebook. But for now, please stay safe and well and stay positive.
Thanks for having
Bye.
us.
Bye. Bye.
All right, let's